staff going into their second year? You know, they were rookies last year, head coach. What's the biggest difference you've seen?
Yeah, I think so. Like for one, last year this time we were doing, virtual meetings and things like that. We didn't really get all this time that we got now. So being able to fully understand kind of what our expectations are, knowing them last year and then coming into this year, I think guys are just in a better place of knowing how to do things, what to do. And with the coaches, you can tell they're just obviously hitting on those same points, but making sure that we're getting them done quicker.
You just made a comment about the fact that there's no virtual.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like we have kind of missed that for you guys. This is the first time you're seeing us in person here during this time. It's the first time you're not in virtual meetings. How is that finally to kind of have a sense of normalcy?
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, even just, having like this long period of time where we can kind of just be with the team and, sit in meetings and hang out with each other, get to know each other a lot better. It's a little more, more difficult to do that over computer screens. So just being here and being in the building, eating lunch together, things like that we missed out on is good to have back. Yeah.
There have been a lot of additions to the linebacker room. How does that change the defense? How does that change what your role might be?
Yeah, I mean it's awesome, really what it is. I think the more the more depth you have, the more pieces you have, the more you can do. And I think we brought in some really good additions and guys have really played football at a high level. So I think it just adds more to what we can do. And I think you look at that and you look at it as competition, and everyone's going to get better from that, really.
What are your early impressions of Nakobe and Kyzir?
Yeah, I think they're quick learners. Obviously great guys. I think anyone that comes in the building, our front office does their homework, and they're really good dudes. And Kyzir is a great guy, been around for a while, and Nakobe is a sponge. And I think he really wants to be a good player, and he's asking questions to everybody, and also I think everybody's trying to make sure that we're all pushing each other too.
TJ, do you see yourself as the leader of that room? You're a young player yourself, but
yeah,
you're kind of the guy in that room right now.
Yeah, I definitely want to be that. I want to use my voice as much as I can. I think I'm a guy who's, seen a good amount, a couple years in the scheme, and obviously just kind of being around the building, kind of know, the ins and outs, and able to relay that, and really just I want to pass on what I've seen, and I also want to be a sponge myself too. I want to learn from guys like Kyzir and. Just like the coaches giving us new looks and things like that, I still want to be a sponge and still gain my knowledge too.
Is it strange for you at all to kind of be in that role where you're helping younger players?
Not really. I mean, I think, even going to my years in college, it was kind of flipped over and turned that way. But for me, I'm a team-first guy, from the start. So I'll always be the guy that will pass on whatever I know to help, anybody that I can, because I think that's how we all get better, really.
TJ, what about the defense overall? There have been a lot of additions, not just at linebacker.
Yeah.
How do you see this defense? How will it be different, you think? Not in terms of scheme, but just in terms of, what you can do.
Yeah, I mean, again, when you bring in those, new additions and you bring in guys that, have a specialty of what they do, I think it just really, adds, more tools to what we can do as a defense. And I think it keeps teams guessing, keeps offenses guessing, and for us, we want to make sure that, everyone's in the right place at the right time, especially at linebacker, but bringing in those other guys, we know that we have to do a good job of covering things up so they can do what they do too.
As a linebacker, is it exciting to get somebody with the potential of Jordan Davis to play in front of you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big boy. And since my time here, we've always been really, really good and really deep at D-line. So having a guy like that who can come in, really anchor the middle, and also have guys like Fletch and Hargrave that they can, he can bounce questions off of and figure out kind of how to play his game. It's a special unit for sure.
In what ways will the defense look different than last year?
I think we've always been, especially, with JG and kind of what he does. First thing first, he's always going to put us in the spot to be successful. So I don't really know, how that all looks right now, and I think we're all just still trying to build. And I think it'll be, similarities from last year and things like that. But right now, it's really just about, fundamentals and just keep working every single day. And, schematics, I think all that stuff will come as we continue to move forward.
Speaking of Jonathan Gannon, have you noticed any differences from him from year one as opposed to year two? Has he changed in any way when he brings us to his approach?
Yeah. I don't really think he's changed. And I think that's one thing that you respect about him is that he's a guy he's the same guy every single day, high energy, running all over the field. But I think, now he knows what it should look like for what we have. And obviously we'll continue to learn more as we go into camp and things like that. But I don't think his approach to how he coaches things has changed at all, which I think is really nice because, when things turn over and you got a new coordinator and you have to kind of figure those things out, it's difficult. So, but not this year, and I think guys are really excited about that.
So how much Were you paying attention to, the possibility that he might get a head coaching job, and do you guys tease him about that at all?
Not yet. I think once we, get a little further forward, I'm sure guys will start to say something. But, you always wish the best for people in this business. So whatever kind of happens. But it's definitely glad to have him back.
DJ, Nick Sirianni said a couple weeks ago that you guys are going away from 11-11s a little bit more, probably more 7-on-7s. How does that change things for your position, and how do you balance, the value of those reps against, potentially getting hurt and, just the effort to stay healthy throughout the year?
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that Coach Sirianni has always done well, is always looking out for, the players and making sure that we're in the safest spot to, play football at a high level for longer. And, injuries are a big part of it. So I think, just doing some more 7-on-7 and, the contact kind of being limited helps us a lot, and also keeps guys fresh too.
You came in as an undrafted free agent several years ago. Do you feel like you're kind of underrated on this defense, or do you feel like you're carving out a pretty good niche?
I've never really, I think at my first couple years, I really, that was my thing. I was underrated and all that, and I think I paid a lot of attention on it. But I don't think it's anything that'll go away for me. I think that's just kind of my mindset going, year to year. I was undrafted, I was 9th on the depth chart. It's just one of those things where I don't think that'll ever leave. But I definitely feel a lot more confident this year, and I'm ready to take that next step.
We've talked before about you wanting to be a complete linebacker,
Yeah.
all three downs, coverage, et cetera. Do you feel like you're closer to getting to that point, or are you there?
Yeah, I've felt like I've always been there. But, it's really just being consistent in that. I think it's easy to say that you want all these things and all that, but until you do it, it's hard to believe. So for me, I'm just really excited about being consistent and, being a leader on this defense and taking that next step.
What do you think of Marcus Epps stepping into a starting role, it looks like, at safety?
Yeah. Epps is a guy who, a great locker room guy. He's always around joking. He's actually got a really good, really funny personality once you get to know him. But he is a guy that has always been steady and consistent in what he does. He takes his prep very seriously. And there's not a day where he's not acting like he's that guy. Even last year when he was kind of rotating in, kind of not, and but you knew that if he had to be the starter, he'd be ready. So I'm really excited for him to have this opportunity too.
How'd you find out about James Bradberry?
I just got out of the lift and just saw it on Twitter. So just saw that it's awesome. Like I said, we're just adding really big pieces to this, and now it's just about everyone kind of finding their role, fitting in, and also make sure that we're just focusing on the details and focusing on one day at a time. Because I think we got all these good players and guys who played a lot of good football, but we really got to come in and just kind of put it all together in the way that we want it to look, and I think that's exciting.
All right, thanks, CJ.